In April 1975, after years of civil war, the Khmer Rouge marched into Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh. The war was over. People poured into the streets, cheering, relieved, thinking peace had come. They were wrong. The nightmare was just beginning. The Khmer Rouge wasn't just another rebel army. They were ultra-radical communists, led by a man named Pol Pot, who had a vision to turn Cambodia into a pure, agrarian society. No cities, no money, no education, no past. To make that happen, he declared the country was starting over. Literally, he called it Year Zero. The entire nation had to be cleansed of corruption, capitalism, and Western influence. That same week, Khmer Rouge troops began evacuating every single city in Cambodia. Millions were forced to leave their homes and march into the countryside. They were told it was temporary, that American bombs were coming. But there were no bombs. The truth? The Khmer Rouge just wanted the cities empty. Hospitals were cleared out. Patients in the middle of surgery were thrown into trucks. Mothers, children, the elderly, everyone had to go. Many died along the way. Once in the countryside, people were divided into collectives and put to work. They toiled endlessly in rice paddies, digging canals, hauling dirt by hand, with barely enough food to survive. Those who grew weak were left to die. But forced labor was just the beginning. Pol Pot believed that anyone connected to the old world, the educated, the religious, the wealthy, the urban, was a threat. Even wearing glasses could get you killed. It was seen as a sign of intelligence. Thousands were rounded up and taken to interrogation centers. The most notorious was S-21, or Tul Slang, a high school turned prison. People were tortured until they confessed to imaginary crimes, then executed. The regime didn't waste bullets. Victims were killed with hammers, machetes, and bamboo sticks. Their bodies dumped into mass graves known as the killing fields. Over 20,000 mass graves have been found in Cambodia. Children weren't spared. The Khmer Rouge believed that to dig out the weed, you must also remove the roots. Entire families were executed to prevent revenge later. Children were sometimes forced to become soldiers or spies. Many were brainwashed and turned against their own parents. By the end of the genocide, between 1.7 and 2 million people were dead. That's a quarter of Cambodia's entire population, and the world barely noticed. Cambodia was isolated. Few foreigners were allowed in. The Khmer Rouge hid the scale of their crimes. And many outside the country didn't believe the refugees who escaped and told horrifying stories of what they'd seen. It wasn't until 1979, when Vietnam invaded Cambodia and overthrew the Khmer Rouge, that the truth came out. They found prisons, torture rooms, and piles of bones. But Pol Pot escaped. He fled into the jungle and led a guerrilla movement for years. He was never captured, never stood trial, and died in his sleep in 1998. Even after the genocide, Cambodia suffered. The country was devastated, physically, psychologically, culturally. An entire generation of artists, doctors, and teachers was gone. And while trials were eventually held, many leaders of the Khmer Rouge lived freely for decades. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.